Hello my friends, welcome back to another video. If you are returning, if you are new here, my name is Michelle and I make videos here on YouTube about faith, relationship, business, entrepreneurship. But as you can tell by the title of this video, we are going to be talking about prayer. And prayer is something that has most recently been like a huge topic of conversation for me. I love to talk about this with my husband and with my friends, just because I've been learning a lot about prayer and God has been speaking to me a lot about prayer. My prayer life has changed a little bit. Just to give you a little backstory, I have been saved since I was 6 years old. I did slightly lose my mind in college and just kind of partied a little bit harder than I probably should have, but God is good, God is gracious, and he's faithful because I am back on solid ground. Thank you, Mom, for all the prayers for your girl while she was in college. But outside of those 2 years, I have been pretty solidly rooted and grounded in God and just my faith in God. I've seen his hand over my own life and my family's life, and I owe him everything. Like my safety, my husband, everything has come from him, and because of that, I'm just so grateful. Even in all of that, I feel like the start of the pandemic, our prayer life was real strong, you know what I'm saying? Like I was covering my family, myself, my husband for our health and just our safety, because there was a lot of racial things going on, a lot of like sex trafficking was coming to light. It was just a lot of stuff that could have been a burden had I not taken it to God and did what the Bible said, which is cast your cares on God for he cares for you. And so I would say like the first year into the pandemic, like that's all I was doing. In that, like my prayer life was super strong. I was praying constantly and I loved it. It was great. But for some reason, maybe like a year in, so last year to this year, my prayer life just got a little weak. And I would say, and I don't think my relationship with God got weak, because I've never doubted him or doubted my faith or anything like that. It's just I wasn't doing the daily practices to continue to grow and strengthen my relationship. I stopped reading the Bible consistently. I would pick it up every once in a while, but over time I just got into like this little like rut, and I wasn't sure how to get out of it. When I was reading the Bible, I wasn't fully understanding it, and there was just a lot more I feel like I can go into, but that was pretty much the basis of what was going on. And I don't know if this was a conversation like I had with my mom, or maybe it was just sometime I was just sitting somewhere and God was just kind of talking to me. But I think I was thinking about the life of Jesus and the life he lived that was documented in the Gospels. And it's not that Jesus didn't read the Bible, because obviously I know the Bible that we have today and the Bible that we all have access to today was not necessarily in place when Jesus was walking the earth. Not to say that he didn't know the Bible, because he was fully man and fully God, so God is omnipresent. So it just kind of gets a little weird. You see where I'm going with that though. It's not that Jesus didn't read the Bible, because there is an account where he picks up a scroll and reads out of the passage of Isaiah, but like a lot of the stuff that Paul talked about in the New Testament, like Paul wasn't even Paul at the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, I feel like I'm getting off topic. But one thing that it does say in the Gospels is that Jesus withdrew to pray often. And specifically in Luke 5:16, it says, but Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer. That kind of like stood out to me, because if we're called to live like Jesus and we are to use the Gospels and the Bible as like instructions for our life, one of the reasons that Jesus was so close to God and the power that he had access to through God was because of his prayer life, because he often withdrew to commune and talk to God. And so a couple months ago, I stopped necessarily focusing on, well, one, beating myself up for not reading the Bible or not wanting to read the Bible. I stopped having like negative conversations with myself and just started having conversations with God, praying to him, but not necessarily like making it this big production of prayer. It was just more of a conversation that I would have with Wes, or I would have with another friend. And through that, it began to expand my desire for God, and expand my desire to understand his word and to read his word more. And so the first thing I guess I would say is make prayer a habit, because that is what's going to push your relationship with God further. Now, again, not to say that reading the Bible isn't going to do that. Those daily conversations, those conversations you have throughout the day, are what keeps your relationship with God so strong. I mean, if I only talk to Wes once a day, I mean, there would be so many things that go like through the cracks. Like I just call him and be like, hey, did you see that text from so-and-so? Or did you see that email come through? Or I have to pay this bill, just letting you know this is coming out of our account. I think I talk to Wes maybe 17 times a day, and that's like a bare minimum. And so just thinking of like my relationship with God should be that way. I shouldn't be talking to God the first thing in the morning or the last thing in the day, just because there's so many things that happen throughout the day that I need his help on. Like I cannot live this life without him. And so having that mindset is one of the things that has shifted my prayer life into what it is now. And I was listening to a podcast. Sadie Robertson has a podcast called Whoa, That's Good. And she did a podcast and had Chad Beach as a guest. And he said that he actually created a contact in his phone for God, and started like texting that contact as if he's talking to like his best friend, and those are his prayers. And I actually started doing that, and I love it. Like I'm much more of a writing person than I am like a verbal person. I feel like I can write more things that I'm feeling and write my emotions better than I can say them or talk about them. And so being able to text out what my emotions and what I'm going through and how I'm feeling and all of the things has really made such a difference. And instead of saying like, it's just like I'm texting God. So I know some people are texting people. I know some people are writing people like myself. I don't know if that might help you, but I would say try that and see how it goes. The next thing I would say is sometimes saying less is saying more. In Matthew 6:7, it talks about the Pharisees and how in Matthew 6:7 it says, and when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. So sometimes saying less is actually saying more. So you don't have to have this big elaborate prayer. Have an effective prayer. So I don't know if that helps you, but I hope it does. And then the very last thing I'll say is prayer gives you a desire to want more of God. I have, in doing this and shifting my prayer life, I now have such a desire to be obedient to God and understand more of the things that he's calling and talking to me about. And so I owe a lot of that, if not all of it, to my prayer life and wanting and talking to God. Hopefully this helps you. I really just wanted to make this video to encourage you to better your prayer life and see where that takes you. God will always meet you where you're at. And so it just starts with a conversation. So start the conversation with God. And if you want to talk, meet me in the comments, and I would love to talk more about this with you. If you have any specific questions or advice or just anything, leave it in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So if you did, please like and subscribe to our channel because I'll be putting out more content like this in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.